Where'd you go?
I'm right here.
There we go.
Yep.
Let me try this again. Well, making your screen all you're like squished down there. At least if I can make you bigger. That's weird.
Listen, I don't need to be any bigger than I already am.
I don't know why it's doing that. It's maybe are you on your phone?
I am on my phone. I tried it on my laptop webcam, and it just came in super grainy for whatever reason.
Gotcha.
So I figured like this would make me slightly less repulsive.
Yeah. Do you have it in portrait mode or maybe it's because it's in portrait. Maybe if it switched
Yeah.
to landscape, maybe it'll flip over. I don't know. That's weird. That's so like
So,
there we go.
so a little better.
Yeah, that looks good.
So,
Hey, Hammertron, action figures in the chat. What's going on, dude? There we go. Oh, I like the poster, dude.
Thanks. Just trying to get my never used this arm before. This is a whole new setup for me. So please bear with me.
Oh, you're good.
But yeah, I found this dude on I found him on Twitter, I think. I don't remember his name. Dude, okay, right there. How do I get this to tighten up? There we go. There we go. That's a little better. Let's see that a little bit more. Sorry, everyone.
You're good, man.
But yeah, I found him on Twitter, and he does like this amazing art and coloring. If you, his name is like Jan Scob or something. I just don't remember his Twitter handle off the top of my head. And he knocks his art out insanely fast, like within hours.
Yeah.
So, while I do recommend him, I also don't want to recommend him because then that means he'll be too busy to do art for me.
Do your stuff.
So,
He should set up a Twitch stream. Like if he's that fast, it's something like I used to watch Jim Lee from DC Comics. He would he had a stream on Twitch. I don't know if he still does, but he would he would just do like a random drawing on live stream. Like pretty cool. But anyway, Mitch L Larkins, if I'm not mistaken, is my guest tonight.
correct.
I saw. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you have the Wild Worlds and Gray Vengeance are your two books. Do you have more than that?
So, Wild Worlds is my first series. It's a lit RPG series. I'm currently going to get it republished with the same publisher I used for Great Vengeance.
Okay.
ASAP Imaginations, Anyone World. They do like comics as well. So that's my first series. I'm working on getting republished, and then I have Great Vengeance, which originally was supposed to be a standalone, but now it's becoming a series too.
Nice, dude. Yeah, I saw you emailed me that review copy, and I kind of started perusing it. I'm definitely going to put that on. I might do that for my book club stream. It seems funny. Is it funny? Because it starts off like this is like a cool premise. It seems kind of kind of funny.
So it's a lot about perspective in a way. At least the first part of it is that while these characters down here, the group of friends. They are horrified beyond imagine what they're having to deal with. But the villain, Alice, she's having an absolute blast. I was really inspired by like Beetlejuice, Freddy Krueger, the very charismatic, bombastic villains who just, they know they're being evil and they just love it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to try to have my own spin on that.
Okay. So it sounds like you're not indie. Who are you published through, if you don't mind me asking?
So it's ASAP Imaginations. They're a small press.
Oh, they're in the chat. They said Mitch and his mighty beard.
Yep, I'm even wearing my beard shirt too.
Nice. Well, that's pretty rad, man. So what was your debut novel?
So my debut novel was so I wrote a book in like when I was 20 or 21. And I mainly wrote it out of spite because like my granddad and a few others were like, "Oh, you'll never get a book published." And I was like, "Well, now it's a challenge." So it was again, and it was a absolutely 20-year-old book. So please forgive me. It was called The Untold Tales of Exodia, and it was a fantasy novel about this group of heroes that had to go and fight the evil mage. So then I quit writing for like almost 10 years. And then I started picking it up again, doing a couple of short stories just to see if I still had it. And both my short stories got published. One in called I forget, Tales of the Heart. I'm absolutely blanking on what the anthology was. But then ASAP had one for a charity called Perspectives. So I had a short story set around. I gave it to them, and they loved it. And I had fun working with them. So I thought, oh, let's see what else I can write, and
Nice.
extending this relationship.
Nice. What was the short story about? If you don't mind me asking.
So the first one was about these imaginary monsters like that go. It's kind of how do people say? Oh, it's kind of like Monsters Inc. Kind of, but it was like these imaginary monsters being assigned to a kid and realizing that something else is haunting the kid that's actually there to hurt them, and so now the monster has to protect the kid from a
Nice.
worse monster.
Yeah.
um, for for um, for the ASAP book Perspectives, I wanted to write a story where you had no description of the main character, and to see if I could make you empathize with it. So it's about a young girl running away from an unseen threat coming after her, and then it has a little twist at the end about about the monsters that are coming after her.
Okay. So she like when you say like she's not descript like physically she's not descripted like you don't it's just like a female
She's she's
character.
she's Yeah, so you know she's a female character. You know she was out in the woods with her mother. They were collecting flowers, and then they get attacked. The mother tries to protect her daughter while the daughter runs away. And then you get a description of everybody at the end. But for the
Oh.
first half of it, when she's running and terrified and regretting forcing her mom to come out to the woods with her, you have no description. I wanted to see if I could still get people to empathize with a character that was just a blank concept.
Yeah. That reminds me I took a class like a manga class and there's like a
Hmm.
technique they called I want to say it's called the masking effect where like everything else in the image is super detailed like the
Hmm.
background the secondary
Hmm.
characters but the protagonist is kind of very generic and almost I don't
Hmm.
know indefined undefined. That way, it
Hmm.
kind of allows more people to like step into that main character's shoes. I guess is the thought.
Hmm.
So that's what it kind of reminds me of.
Yep, that's a very good description of kind of what I was going with from a story perspective.
Yeah. Well, I have to check that out because I actually asked the teacher. I was like, "Does anyone do that like in prose, not just like manga?" And he's like, "I don't know." So I'm gonna check it out.
But
Nice. Um. So okay, so you got your two short stories, and then who's Wild Worlds the series? Who's that through right now?
so that's not through anybody right now. I went through a publisher called Severed Press, and then I, you know, got we kind of broke off our relationship. I published like the third one through Amazon, and then I uh, thought I had pulled it. I guess I haven't, but I'm going to see about getting them republished after I tweak them a little bit, and then continue with that series.
Do you know how many books you're planning on doing in that one?
Well, my notes have like 20 books, so
Nice.
if I can keep up the work, then I will definitely have about 20 plus books in that series. My plan with Wild Worlds is a little RPG science fiction fantasy series. It's heavily inspired by things like Overlord, Warhammer 40K, and certain like kind of the travel and stuff. Um, Final Fantasy 11 was a big inspiration. World of Warcraft was a big inspiration. In fact, the plot came up because my buddy got me back into World of Warcraft, and he just took my new character and just power leveled me. And I was like, what if like that was a book where like we had like an Obi-Wan Luke uh, mentorship, but instead of like actually teaching them anything, they're just like, come on, kid,
Just
I'm going
juice
to
you
go
up.
kill everything you try to learn.
That's awesome. Uh, so it's like 40K. Is it like sci-fi fantasy? Like like the are there
So
spaceships?
in Correct, there's spaceships, but there's magic. There's I'm trying to get everything in between. So the I wanted to build a universe where like you could literally build your own character. Basically, I want to eventually make it into hopefully a tabletop series,
Oh,
et cetera, et cetera. But there's a class system you can pick, brawler, gunslinger, different black mages, white mages, martial artists, and then there's subclasses, and then there's ways to evolve your classes. But you get to pick one, you get to dual class, so you can pick like gunslinger and then like mage, and to become a spell slinger, so you can shoot your spells, things
shoot!
like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, magical
And
bullets for
well,
days.
love. Love it, love
Yeah,
it. Which that kind of was inspired by Outlaw Star. I will say that because that's an amazing anime. If you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it.
Outlaw Star. You said.
Oh yes, sir.
Yeah, I need to. I just downloaded the free Crunchyroll app on my TV like literally last night, and I was like looking like, what am I
Mhm.
gonna watch? I haven't watched a lot of anime since I was like in the Navy, so it's been a while. Uh, Overlord, at least you mentioned Overlord. I think I saw that when I was perusing. Is that's a good one?
Yeah. So Overlord's an interesting one because it's definitely an overpowered fantasy, lit RPG type of isekai or isekai or however you pronounce it. But it's not about like this guy just being able to steamroll everybody. I love the fact that he's trying to be. He has to since he's trapped in this elder skeleton lich body. He is trying to be an evil overlord. Everybody beneath him worship him like a god, but he's treating them like mental management. Like he's trying to give them salaries. He's trying to reward them, give them days off, promote them, and they just don't understand the concept because they were all were NPCs.
Yeah,
These Ainz and his friends created them, so that's their gods.
yeah,
And so they're like, "Why would we want a day off when we get to sit around with you, sir?" But so that's where I have the fun with it. Now,
yeah.
like yeah, obviously the battles they're very one sided, and you get to see this guy's slow descent into evil because he keeps losing his human connections and emotions because he's stuck in this body that he can't feel real sensations in.
Nice. Yeah, I don't get to watch as much lately because like I have kids, so like a lot of the animes are obviously hyper violent, so I have to like stay up late. And then like, do I want to read? Do I want to watch anime? Do I want to play video games?
Mhm.
Only so much time in the day, but
Oh, I
yeah.
feel you, bro.
Yeah, I just bought my first manga. I watched a lot. Like in high school, I watched a ton of anime, but I never really read or purchased manga. It's Goblin Slayer One. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but
Dude, I love Goblin Slayer. Oh, I love Goblin Slayer.
yeah,
That's a great one, man.
yeah, yeah. It's very
Um,
D&D. I started reading the first couple of pages, like, oh, this is like straight up D&D.
yeah, I don't know how far you got into it, but it definitely feels like the DM had a party. He kept warning them, "Do not do this thing. You will probably die." They go in, they botch all their rolls, and the DM is like, "How do I save them?" Okay, here's a character I'm throwing in there to try to bail them out in time.
Yeah. Do you play a lot of tabletop?
So I used to. I've played D&D. I've played Paranoia. I've played. What else have I played? I've got a ton of them. I've played some of the Warhammer ones, the 40K, and Pathfinder. Jeez, I'm absolutely bugging. I just got the new Monty Python one. It's actually downstairs
Really?
from the Kickstarter. Mm-hmm.
That's
It came
interesting.
with the coconuts and everything.
That'd be. Is there a lot of? Is there a pretty sweet? You haven't used it yet? You said.
I haven't used.
Oh.
I haven't even broken the seal on the
Oh.
plastic.
Okay.
I took a picture of it. And I was like, well, I got to go to the grocery store, and then I got to go to like the pet store, and had to go get my kid from school. So you know how it is. It's like I
Yeah.
can't crack it open.
Yeah. Exactly. I know. I got like I got like kits, like table, like board game kits. So I have like
Hmm.
Baldur's Gate, Betrayal at Baldur's Gate, and then I have another one's called like I think it's called Night Cage. I haven't had. I bought them,
Hmm.
but I haven't been able to play them because my kids aren't old enough to play that kind of game yet. So
Oh my
someday.
daughter is just getting old enough to play some D&D, and I have to like I won't say dumb it down, but I have to simplify some of the rolling
Yeah.
and stuff. But she has an absolute blast with it. But she wants to play it randomly. She thinks it's like a video game that we could just pick up. It's like Daddy has to think of the like some of the plots and stuff.
Yeah.
Like we can't play Curse of Strahd with you, sweetheart. So we're gonna have to gotta make
Yeah.
a My Little Pony version, which
Yeah.
they actually do have, but I have not bought.
Yeah. My daughter's 5, and I think all I really do with her is I give her a dice because she likes the dice. And then I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
what do you want to do? And she's like, I want to do this. I'm like, okay, roll your dice. And she rolls it. I'm like, oh, that hits. I don't even look at the number. And yeah, we
Yep.
just kind of just go wherever her little mind takes us.
Perfect. Perfect.
Hammertron Action Figures asks, have you played BattleTech?
BattleTech. So I own BattleTech. I do have the first, well, not the first, I won't say, the introductory box set. I bought that a couple of years ago during COVID and stuff, and I haven't gotten to play it. No, I just like I've got like repainted armies, well, two and a half painted armies of 40K. Never played it. I've
Yeah.
read tons of the books and all this other stuff. Yeah, Unfortunately, not. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, what I'm looking to get into right now is I'm a big fan of the. I don't know if you follow Blaine Pardoe at all. He wrote for BattleTech. Now he writes the Landon C books,
Mhm.
but Landon C's coming out with a tabletop game. I actually just got one of the guys in the Discord sent me. He printed one of the minis for me off the
Mhm.
Patreon, so that's coming out. I'm saving all
Nice.
my shekels for that. Um, Hammertron says from FASA. I'm not a BattleTech guy. I don't know what that means. FASA.
Fast. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on that acronym, and I don't know what rating the show is, so I don't want to guess on it. Since
Yeah.
we're both veterans, so we you know how we make some interesting acronyms, right?
Yeah, right. Well, what branch did you serve in?
I was U.S. Army.
Nice. Yeah, I had I think my grandpa was in the army, but most of my family is like Department of Navy, so like Marines and Navy. But
Mhm.
yeah, man. Yeah, D&D. Is that kind of like is that like a lot of inspiration comes from at least for your Wild Worlds, or maybe both all your
For
books?
Wild World, yep. So for Wild Worlds, a lot of the inspiration actually came from like Final Fantasy 11. When that first came out, I played that game nonstop. That was the first. I think it was pretty much the first Final Fantasy game that was online, and I loved it. And I just the problem is like back then there were not like YouTube videos on where to go next. So I got to a certain level and I had no clue what area to go to next. I
Yeah,
just ended up dropping it and never playing again.
it's a
But
good
that's where
game,
a
man.
lot of the game guide only went so far too. That was the other thing. It was like an introductory guide. I don't know. I was again. That was like my first online game, so I didn't know anything. I was super ignorant. But D&D, it's the granddaddy of a lot of games and stories and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah, there's definitely some inspiration on certain classes in there and certain monsters. It inspired Grave Vengeance with Alice, the lich.
yeah, yeah. That looks fun, man. I want to check that out. Once I get a sec, I got my TBR just keeps, especially as more authors reach out to me, my TBR just keeps
Mhm.
getting longer and
Yeah.
longer. Hammertron Action Figures wants asks what fantasy races are in your Wild Worlds series.
So the first two books mainly deal with humans. I'm establishing the world. The third book actually introduces the first sentient alien race. So we have some random non-sentient monsters. Like the first book had what's they were called bomb buns, which were exploding rabbits. So they would launch themselves like missiles at people. There were some giant basic dragons, things like that. But it was basically the two main characters versus a bunch of space pirates, which they had all crashed on a planet, and they were all trying to figure out how to get off the planet because not every world is super developed. So sometimes you get into super like rural basic fantasy worlds. The second book has like it's a planet that's been basically cut in half and built up as a giant tree, and each like branch has its own little city in there that interconnected, things like that.
Is it like a kind of like a play on Yggdrasil?
Actually, yeah, I guess you could say that it is in a way. Actually, that might have been subconsciously what inspired it because the universe is broken up into technically five sectors. So Sector Zero is the center of the universe, and that's where that planet lies.
Huh.
So yeah, it could definitely be like the life tree for Norse mythology.
Nice, man. Yeah. What? So, are you working on the sequel for Grey Vengeance?
So right now, Great Vengeance is I've got the sequel done. My editor's about to be hitting it. I'm working on the third book for it. I've got about six books planned for it right now. I'm still working on revising them because again, this was supposed to originally just be a standalone. Then people were like, "Hey, we want to see more of the character." And I'm like, "Okay, well, let's do it." It was originally a short story that I gave to some fellow writers and stuff, and they were like, "Hey, we want to read more of this. Make it bigger, make it bigger, make it bigger." And I said, "Okay, well, let me figure out how to do that." And then it's just spiraled from there. So I'm probably going to call it like the Grave World series. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with
Where
worlds,
else?
all my series, but whatever.
Hey, it works, man. Um, yeah, dude. It seems like I don't know. It just seems fun. Like it starts like the whole. Is it like high school where they start off? Right.
Yeah, so they start
Yeah.
off in high school. So the basic premise is this group of friends right here. all these little big-headed buddies. They join up with Alice and they become her friend, but they decide to use a ancient sacrifice ritual, which is powered through the power of friendship. They kill her, and they each get a wish, but they don't realize the spell allows her to get a wish too, and it's greater than all of those because that's the ultimate sacrifice, right? Giving your life so you get the ultimate reward. So 10 years later, when they come back for a reunion, after they buried her murder and pinned it on other people, she digs herself out of the grave to come back for revenge.
Dude, that's I gotta say, a lot of your I don't know, your takes and stuff and your plot devices sound hilarious and awesome at the same time, like exploding bunnies and and the friendship sacrifice ritual. Oh man, that's good stuff.
I do like to try to have fun. The main thing, the main takeaway I want with my stories is I don't preach morals. I don't preach anything like that. I just want you to have fun.
Yeah,
Uh, good, bad, none of that stuff.
yeah,
I just want you to have fun in the stories and laugh at it, be scared of it, whatever. Just don't be bored.
yeah. Right. That's I don't know who coined the term or this phrase, but that reminds me of
Hmm.
something like Larry. I don't know who Larry Correia is, but he's one of my favorite authors,
Hmm.
and he says a lot in his podcast, like don't preach harder than you entertain. It's kind of like a rule to live
Right.
by. So, yeah, I agree with that 100%, man. Man, I kind of wish I would have had time. I should have knocked your book out because now that I'm like hearing more about it, I kind of wish I would have read it before Kevin here. But yeah, I think I might do it for. I have my next book already picked out for my book club stream, but I might do Grave Vengeance for the third book on my stream.
Well,
So
I appreciate it.
yeah, man. Um, is there anything you want to let us know about with what you got coming out?
So, so we're working on the audio version of this. We're working with a very talented narrator. Um, so we're hoping that can come out this year. I'm working again. The sequel's
Mm-hmm.
being worked on, being edited again. I hope I can get that next year. It actually just dropped on Amazon Kindle. We do publish through the ASAP Imaginations website, which you can get the physical copies. You can get digital versions. You can get stickers of the characters. You can buy shirts. Like it was hilarious. My publisher came to me one day. They're like, "Hey, we want to make some merch." And I was like, "Oh, excellent! What character?" They're like, "You." I was like, "Me?" They're like, "Yeah, you're practically a cartoon character." I was like, "Well, yeah, but go worse." So they made beard shirts.
Yeah, man.
I'm just
I'm
staring at
jealous of
my
that
gray
beard.
right now.
This is probably like a week's worth of no shaving for me. I'm like the anti
Hey,
you.
this is a week's worth for me too.
Yeah. I thought my Discord handle is Bruce the Beardless. I just can't grow, man. I'm almost 40, still can't grow a beard.
Uh, Well, I was about to say I can feel your pain, but obviously I can't. So,
Yeah,
but at
right.
least you still got that wonderful youthful complexion, and you
Yeah.
don't just look haggard and miserable like I do all the time.
Right. Oh, so Hammertron asked, "Are the books sold through Amazon?"
So we're working on it. You can get a Kindle version through Amazon. The main site, ASAP Imaginations, which I don't know. Did I even provide you a link? I am the worst guest. Uh,
That's all right. No, I don't think so. To ASAP's website.
yes. Give me 1 second. Nothing. um,
I could always put it in the video
let's
description
see.
afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, so it's just ASAP, ASAP, imagination.com.
Okay.
I'm definitely going to send you a link on Twitter after this because I don't want to mess up my. I've got my computer on for whatever reason, too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't understand my own logic sometimes, so I apologize. But I will get you a link to. They have a section just for me and all my weird stuff. And so we'll get that out there. But it's coming to a bunch of different places. We're trying to get it out to the world as best as possible because, again, you know, it's all thanks to readers and viewers and listeners like you. So we want to make it as accessible as possible because we do love you guys. So we do
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah, and I appreciate like how many authors like yourself and everyone
you.
else so far I've had on my stream that like I'm not a big YouTuber. I have like 150 subs, but people are still willing to come on and talk to readers, and I think that's pretty rad. ASAP.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to just say, yeah. I mean, like, the So for writers, like when we have our friends and family, and they're asking about our books, or they find out, or somebody just comes to you at work and they, hey, what's your hobbies? You're like, hey, well, I'm an author. You can see their eyes starting to glaze over as you start explaining the books. So anybody that's willingly coming to us and saying, "Oh, well, tell us about your stories, tell us about your inspiration," all this stuff, we will not stop talking. I've had people that basically be like, "I'll buy your book if that gets you to just shut your gap for 5 minutes." I'm like,
Nice. ASAP Imagination ask Mitch about middle age rage too.
okay, so I didn't know if I could mention that, so I was going to keep it mom. So I'm also working with the publisher. His name is Hades. Well, that's what we call him. Um, we're working on a comic, a collection called Middle Age Rage, which is comics about like us getting older, being more out of shape, having to deal with body hair, except for on your head. Um, just things like that. So we're going to have a bunch of different comics in there. We're going to have fourth wall breaks. We have panels inspired by manga like Berserk or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. We have references to professional wrestling. Not only does it cover like aging, getting older, dealing with families, as opposed to when we were young and single, we could take on the world, and now we can't even take a gut shot from our 4 year old. Um, it's just the normal things that now we gripe about all the time. Going to the grocery store, dealing with the weirdos there, when you're obviously the most sane person in the room, right?
Obviously.
It's going to be a lot of comics. I didn't realize how many there were going to be until I started drawing them, and we were brainstorming and saying, "Oh my gosh, I got to draw all this stuff." Um, I do, yeah. So I do art. My lovely wife, who hopefully she's watching that compliment, um, is doing my inking and all that other stuff for us. But yeah, I think that's going to be fun, and it's going to be really relatable because we don't, there's not much stuff. I think the last thing that dealt with being a middle-aged dude was Married with Children in the '80s and '90s.
Yeah.
So I think this will be a good callback to that.
Yeah. So you and your wife are both you're an artist as well as an author, and she's an inker.
So she's an artist. She makes all kinds of things. In fact, she made Human Alice for me, and she made this one right here, Lich Alice for me. So
It's
she
Alice.
makes dolls. She makes dolls, all kinds of random things. She's absolutely insanely talented. But she has worked on a children's book called Braxton's Nerf Adventure. I'm sorry, it's 10 o'clock for me. This is way past my bedtime,
Oh, sorry.
but I do it for you guys. No, 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 no. This is an absolute blast. I'm loving it. But she just did a children's book about a little cheetah named Braxton. I'm working on another children's book with her as well. But yeah, she's amazingly talented, and she's constantly blowing me away with what she can do. Um, and yeah, so we work together. I dropped out of art school because apparently it's really expensive to go to art school.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that at the time.
It's a well kept secret. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I mean, again, another ignorant 20-year-old thing.
Yeah.
Um, so, but I did some illustrations for children's books in the past, at least concept art. I've done murals for businesses and for homes and things like that. So my main style is really cartoony. If you guys can hunt me down on Instagram and on Twitter, you'll see sometimes I'll post little sticky notes when I'm at work and I'm supposed to be paying attention at meetings. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds good, guys. Just do it. Give me credit. And then I'll post a sticky note art.
Nice, dude. There is a Sugar Squid Creations in the chat. I'm gonna guess that's your wife. She said, "I see you." Maybe it's not, but they said, "I see you."
No, no, yeah, that's my wife, but don't tell anybody.
All right. So, since you've written novels and done prose, but you also do comic books, is it kind of
Mhm.
like the same, or is it like a different kind of craft?
So with with writing, so the great thing about art is that you can write a comic with no words in it, and you can get the point across. You can we see comics how they're just stick figures and that they can get the emotion across. It's absolutely incredible how humans can perceive emotion in almost anything.
Yeah.
So, in a way, I think art is a faster translation to the human soul, and if I can speak in a philosophical,
Yeah.
semi-philosophical
I
way,
like it.
with and writing, you have to sit down and you have to dig deeper, so to speak, because you have to describe things. You have to give the word. You have to give these this this thing life and be able to build an image of the character into people's heads. People can see this picture and they know who else is, but then I have to write it out. Then I have all these descriptions and things like that. So I'm not saying art is easy. It absolutely is not, because you're sitting there and you just try to get that circle right and you can't get that circle right. God, I'm the worst person in the world. It's the same thing with writing. It's like you'll type the word "the" 15 times, and you go to Wikipedia, then you go to TV tropes, and then you're 3 hours later you're like, oh crap, I haven't written anything.
Yeah.
It's two different sides of the same coin. I just think art can speak quickly and more direct to you. And again, when you talk to somebody, you're like, "Hey, I'm an artist." They're like, "Hey, show me something that you did." You can whip up something. You can pull up a picture, and they're like, "Great, I love it." Or, "Hey, that stinks." But with writing, it's like, okay, all right, you got to pick up this book, and then you got to read it. And like, how many pages do you get in before you're like, "Oh, I don't like this,"
Yeah.
Like you can look again. If this was a comic, you look at the cover, you're like, I like it, I don't like it, and that's it. But like this, you got to kind of get invested and start reading.
Yeah.
I even had somebody see that at the convention with them. They picked it up and they're like, "Oh, okay, what is this?" They open it up, they're like, "Oh, this is an actual book." I was like, "Wait, yeah, it says a novel on there somewhere."
It's an actual. That's way too much reading. I don't got that kind of commitment in me.
Words? Ugh.
Ugh. Hammertron says GI Joe comics had at least 2 silent issues featuring Storm Shadow. There
hmm
was no dialogue
hmm
at all.
Yep,
That's pretty cool.
yep. You can absolutely do that. In fact, I really love it when you people do that. I mean, there's been there's been cartoons that did it. There was a Powerpuff Girls episode when the clown turned into the mime. If anybody is old enough to remember the original Powerpuff Girls,
I do, but I don't remember that
um,
episode.
yeah, I don't know why it stuck with me so much, but it was this clown got splashed with some kind of ink or something. He turned into an evil mime, and he kept like zapping the color away, and everything was muted around him. There was the Batman Beyond episode with Shriek, where he could manipulate sound, and he would take away all the sound so you couldn't talk, and then he could isolate to like the footsteps, and it was like muted punches. It was absolutely brilliant sound design and lack thereof.
Yeah.
I think Buffy had an episode like that. So it's amazing how you can pull things off, how you can express things without words. Heck, there is a series of, if anybody knows Common Rider, I think it was Common Rider Wizard, brilliant physical performance, no words needed, where the hero in full armor, he goes out to a wash tub, and is physically washing his clothes. He's like looking around, just whatever. He does a double take and sees a washer, an actual washing machine to the side. He just sits there for a second, and you could see, without seeing the dude's face, without a single word, the gears spinning in his head. I'm like, that's brilliant, you know. So yeah, you can convey so much with so little,
Yeah.
and it's incredible.
Well, not to hop on the dad train, but do you watch Bluey at all?
Oh my god, I love Bluey.
So
Oh,
there's
oh, I love
there's a
Bluey.
couple episodes that are fairly limited on dialogue. There's one where it's like raining
hmm
and Bluey's trying to build a little dam on their walkway,
hmm
and the whole episode's just that, and she keeps like getting different things, and the mom's trying to keep her out of the house because she's got muddy feet. Great episode. And then my favorite episode that's like so chill. It's not like full on no dialogue, but it's pretty quiet, just like relaxing music and chill vibes. But it's Bingo having a dream, and she's like floating through space and like going through planets.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
dude, so relaxing.
that one's yeah, that one's so good. So I'm sending you links because I'm being an absolutely awful guest.
Oh, you're good, man.
Um, but yeah, so I feel like there's been a few other shows that have pulled that off. Um, and I'm just blanking on, but you hit the nail on the head perfect with Bluey, because Bluey is probably the most brilliant. animation series in years, and able to capture that the adult sympathy, the adult attention, the adult humor, the
Hmm.
adult frustrations, and making it understandable to kids. But my biggest criticism, and I think a lot of dads feel this, is how can I ever live up to Bingo?
Dude.
I've tried it,
Yeah.
and it is hard.
Yeah. You mean Bandit?
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Panda. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
You're good.
Oh, I lost my blue street cred right there. Oh my god, my
You're
kids are
good.
going to abandon me forever.
Nice. Uh, Hammertron's. I've actually not seen that movie, The Quiet Place. Obviously, there's probably not a whole lot of dialogue in that
Oh
one,
yeah.
but I did see the clip of the ending where he basically sacrifices. Spoiler:
Hmm.
he sacrifices himself. That was pretty. I mean, I didn't even see the movie, and just that scene was pretty powerful because I know the premise of the movie, so like I get it.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
brutal.
that's actually a really good example as well. Um, I was thinking that, but I couldn't remember the title off
Yeah,
the top of my head. So,
I need to watch that.
um,
I'm a big John Krasinski fan. Well, I'm a big
mhm.
Office fan, so I guess that's more of it. But although his Jack Ryan show, I didn't mind. At least the first season I watched was good. I enjoyed it.
I
Um,
haven't watched that, but didn't he play Mr. Fantastic in that Doctor Strange film
I don't know. I know
about
he. I
five
know he.
seconds before
He.
he got killed?
Yeah, he threw on the suit. I don't know if it was in Doctor Strange or if it was in WandaVision, the show. I haven't. I honestly
Oh, it
stopped
was it
watching
was
Marvel a
the
long time ago.
yeah. I pretty much ended at Endgame.
Yeah.
Really haven't paid attention to too much since then. Which is unfortunate because again, I was really hoping to see some of my other favorite characters come in.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah, I think I saw Shang-Chi. I don't know how if I'm saying it right, but that's like I think that's the only
Yeah.
movie past Endgame that I saw. It was okay. I didn't mind it too much. It wasn't, I think people kind of really hated it. I didn't think it was the greatest, but I think it was the worst.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm
yeah.
not sure.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to just say, yeah. So Shang-Chi is actually a really fun character in the comics because he is usually incredibly serious. So I really wish they had went with instead of him being kind of again they're so busy making everybody goofy
Goofy.
that they all kind of blend together. Like everybody's like, here's a one liner, here's one liner, here's one liner. It's like not all the characters are like that. They have
Yeah.
their own thing, you know. So I like to think Shang Chi's more serious, and then combining him with what the Mandarin, Ten
Uh,
Rings.
oh yeah, he
But
was
in
in
the
that, huh?
Iron Man
Yeah.
comic, yeah, yeah, but instead of being like the rings, they're like the bracelets, kind of like from Kung Fu Hustle, if you remember that movie.
I don't know if I ever saw
But they
that
were
one.
magic, of course. Oh, you got to see that one now. That one's good. That is a great martial arts comedy film.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when it came out, and I really wanted to see it. I just never got around to actually going and watching it. But I'm gonna
Oh
have to
yeah, I
now.
went and saw it. Oh yeah, you got to. I think they're talking about a sequel to it. Finally, after what, like 15 years? I don't know, 20. I don't want to think about how long it's been. I don't need that. I don't need that kind of reminder.
Yeah. ASAP Imagination said it was in Doctor Strange. So yeah, I didn't see. I saw the first Doctor Strange movie, but I didn't see the second one.
Mhm. Yeah, I only I know the synopsis of it, and so one of my things about it is so they go to the nexus of all realities, right? And they're like, and they get a book from there, the only book like this in its existence. So in theory, since it's the only one any Doctor Strange can use, in theory, at any given point, there should be an infinite number of Doctor Stranges waiting to use the book because you take it and you always have to bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
So like when the villain is chasing them and attacking them, it's like based on your own logic within this universe, shouldn't there be like a billion Doctor Strangers there right now and they could completely one shot the villain together?
Yeah.
Um,
I don't think thinking out like
so
plot holes and logic and continuity is really on anybody's mind at Marvel these days. Yeah. I don't want to take too many shots,
not
but
anymore.
yeah. Well, man, are you pretty well versed? I mean, I don't want to get too far away from talking about your books, but I'm interested because you seem knowledgeable about manga. Do you know?
So yeah, I could talk about just about anything. I sit here. I see. I was this thing called Friendless when I was younger. So I did nothing but read and study upon stuff. So even things that I like BattleTech. I know a little bit about BattleTech. Haven't played a single game of it. Uh, Absorbed a lot of Warhammer 40K. Never played a single game. Tons of manga. I actually just bought the third volume of Killer Shark in Another World. I'm listening to the Saga of Tanya the Evil audiobooks. So yeah, if you want to talk about manga, let's go for it. I'm ready to talk about anything.
Yeah, I'm just trying to like educate myself. So I got Goblin Slayer. I'm looking. So one of my favorite books that I read last year is called Servants of War, and it's like,
Hmm.
have you read it? Are you familiar with it?
I haven't read that one, so you actually beat me after all
Okay.
that bragging I just did. Wow.
Well, Servants of War is a novel. It's not a manga. But yeah,
Okay.
basically it's like trench war. It's in a fantasy world, but it's Earth adjacent. Like people somehow kind of like in Curse of Strahd, where you go through the mist and you end up in a new world. Kind of
Hmm.
like that. Like they remember Earth, but where they're at is not Earth. And it's like it's a fantasy world. There's monsters and whatever. But there's these two nations. Basically, it's like trench warfare, and one side has these. They're basically like mechs, but
Hmm.
they're made from the parts of dead golems and essentially powered by ghosts. And yeah, so one side has those, and I won't spoil the rest of the book, but it's trench war. It's fantasy trench warfare with like eldritch horror themes. There's demons
What's it
and
called again?
Servants of War by Larry Correia and Steve Diamond. It's a collaboration book. So I'm trying to find a manga in that vein that's like fantasy trench warfare, maybe with like a magical mech type aspect to it.
Oh, okay, so actually, the saga of Tanya the Evil might be kind of close. It doesn't have mechs in there necessarily. So what it's about is this HR manager who is very by the book. Yeah, also a great start right there, right? Um, this
I just love
so
how
he's
ridiculous anime is in like manga.
but I love it so much. They have the most off the wall concepts. You're like, this will never work, and then I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. Like One
Yeah.
Punch Man, and that's the
Love One Punch Man.
stupidest premise in the world.
Yeah.
And oh my god, I love it so much.
I love how he
But the
levels
saga,
up to his strength. It's like the best workout regimen ever.
yes, yes, and aside from the running, I love the other two push-ups and sit-ups. I'll do push-ups. Well, I used to be able to do push-ups and sit-ups all day. Never much of a runner, but for saga, the saga of Tanya the Evil, this HR manager gets pushed in front of a train by this guy he just fired. And as he's falling, he sees the guy. He's like, instead of like freaking out or praying to God or whatever, begging for help, he's just looking at it. He's like, that was really illogical. Now you've ruined your entire life because you're going to jail with dozens of witnesses around. Your family can no longer be provided for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then time stops, and he hears this voice in his head. And he's like, "Why aren't you praying to me? He's like, why aren't you asking for help or anything like that?" And so, like, he basically has this argument with God about how, oh, we don't need you anymore because we have all this technology. Our lives are super easy. So, what's the point of praying to you? He's like, so if your life was in danger, you would start praying to me. Okay, let's try this out. So he cuts a deal that if he dies in his next life through violence, his soul is going to be eradicated. So he gets or his soul gets taken to a World War I Germany, but and he's put in the body of a little girl. And in this world, instead of the United States, it's like the unified states and things like that. Um, so there's magic, and they have trench warfare. They have aerial mages who like wear this suit that helps them fly, and they use stuff like sniping formula. So they make a spell in front of their guns, and they'll like amplify their bullet size. They'll fly faster. They have shields around them to protect them from attacks. So he joins the military because technically, even at 13 years old, they don't have child labor laws for the mage units, and he is trying to get a cushy like officer job. So he has all this knowledge from our world about how World War I went, and he's trying to teach them like what not to do to in order to survive and potentially win it. But some of the human falls, they have this 13-year old little girl, and she's like, hey, this is how we're going to massacre these people. And everybody around her is like, oh my God, this is a child. And she is a living weapon. She becomes a named mage really quickly. Um, and she's just absolutely brutal in her fights, her efficiency. But part of the humor also comes from the fact that she doesn't understand the mindset of men back then, where they wanted the honor of battle and becoming a soldier and all that nobility that came with it, as opposed to these days where a lot of people are like, I don't want to fight, you know. You know that like Uncle Sam wants you post. No, he doesn't. So she was trying. So she was trying that back then, and basically they're always men. So they joined her army, you know, and so she tried to put them through this brutal, like life endangering training that just made them work harder. And then now they're like, oh man, we got to be as tough as her. And so now so she's constantly trying to figure out how to survive. And she's really good at like they don't really have the Geneva Conventions yet, but they do have the laws of war where she can't attack civilians. So she has to warn them to evacuate. And anybody that doesn't evacuate is a combatant. So she puts on a really girly voice. She's like, "Hello, we're going to kill you now. Civilians evacuate." Aha! And she waits 5 minutes. She's like, "Okay, bomb them," because nobody evacuates because they think it's just propaganda or like them playing mind games with them. And she just blows the entire city up. So, I warned them
Yeah.
within the rules.
Dude, I'm gonna check
So
that out. That sounds awesome.
yeah, I highly recommend it. I love it. There's an anime, a manga. There's a novel series, a light novel series. I would probably definitely check out the manga as opposed to the light novels, but they're all really good.
Yeah.
They kind of like the farther you go, the series like in the light novels, Tanya's more joking with her teammates. Then she gets a little rougher with them in the manga, and then in the anime, she's absolutely psychotic. But I love all three versions.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna look into that. I'm gonna keep going with Goblin Slayer because it looks pretty sweet. I really only got like the first like 4 pages. They literally were getting chased by a wyvern and jumped into a river. That's as far as I got. Like just kind of flipped through a couple pages. But
Yeah, highly recommend Goblin Slayer. It sticks with more of the medieval fantasy, but he basically uses like modern tactics in a lot of his fights. So that's always fun to see.
yeah,
I'm trying to think of some more.
Hammer Charge said
Overlord
Fist of
does
the North is one.
Fifth of the North Star is really good. It's a 80s action like basically if you took like Arnold Schwarzenegger and taught him martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
This dude has this pressure point martial arts that can literally do anything from like almost bring people back to life to making your head explode. And that's where the meme comes from, which you may have seen, where you're already dead. If you've seen that meme, that's where that's from. So he'll like do this pressure point attack, and people are like, "What's happened?" He's like, "You're already dead," and then like their head will explode.
I might have seen it, but it's not ringing a bell right now. So he also said the record of the Lodos War.
Yes, I was going to recommend that one too.
Yeah,
That's a really good one.
and write this down.
For let's see what else. I'm going to recommend it. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's got sci-fi in there. It's got fantasy. It is really bizarre. The first part it feels pretty standard for an anime these days, but it
Mm-hmm.
gets weirder and weirder as it goes along. My favorite part personally is part 4 and part 5. I haven't watched all of part 6 yet, but I think they're about to do the anime for part 7. I thought that was announced. I might be misremembering. But if you don't know JoJo, it starts off. It's about this. It's a saga through this family, so it doesn't stick with just one character, but all the main characters are nicknamed JoJo.
Mm-hmm.
So the first part takes place in like Victorian England. This brother and his adopted brother, they fight back and forth um, over his father's inheritance. Then they find a mask that can turn you into a vampire.
Hell
The
yeah.
main hero learns a solar powered martial arts that focuses on breathing, and after that one, part 2 is basically what if Arnold Schwarzenegger was also Bugs Bunny? Like the main character is absolutely like that, and yeah, And then part three gets into the psychic ghost that stands.
Yeah.
That again you may have seen in memes or whatever.
Yeah. Hammertron said Escaflowne, which I have seen the movie, and I think I watched the first season like forever ago. I did like
I haven't
Escaflowne. I
watched
want to pick
all
it
of
back
them.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Which,
haven't watched all that one.
if I remember correctly, the movie is I think a lot different than the show. Like I feel like Van, if that's his name, I think had like magical abilities where he could shoot like some kind of essence, soul power out of his body and kill people with it, which I don't think he had in the show and probably the manga.
Yeah, um, they're blurred. The lines blurring together for me on which
Yeah.
one that is. Um, I already mentioned Outlaw Star, which is sci-fi and fantasy mixed together.
Outlaw Star.
Outlaw Star, yeah. Then there is Gurren Lagann, which is about mechs powered by the indomitable will of man.
What's that called? You're in what?
Gurren Lagann, so it's Gurren Lagann. I think that's how you spell it.
Gurren Laga.
Do a Google search, it'll figure it out for you.
Yeah, that sounds. Honestly, I might check that one out. That one sounds like that might go to the top of the list.
That's got really good animation. I believe it was Studio Trigger that did it. So that one's really fun. Again, it's got combining mecha, but like they're not supposed to combine, so they kind of like just pick it up, and it's got like a spike on the ground, so it kind of forces it. They have this giant sunglasses that they kind of use as a boomerang, and it just it starts off at level 99 of weirdness, and it goes farther and farther. And I won't spoil how insane it gets, but like these are some of the biggest mechs that you'll have ever seen in manga.
Nice, dude. Yeah, I'm gonna check those out. I do. I think I watched some Evangelion back in high
Yeah,
school.
Evangelion. Yeah.
Evangelion, and some Gundam here and there.
Yeah. I love G Gundam.
Yeah.
I love most of the Gundams, but I love how wacky G Gundam is, where it's like Street Fighter with giant robots.
Is that that's the one where they like
Um,
get inside and like he gets all ragey and it turns red, but then he like gets tranquil and it turns cold? Is that G Gundam?
yeah. Well, I mean, like the one. I think there's a few Gundams that turn gold, but he's like this hand of mine is burning with a
Yeah,
fury or whatever,
yeah. He's
and
like
he's got shining
it's like
finger.
a poker card is like on the back of his hand, right? And
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
there's like
yeah, yeah.
countries like
So like,
America and China and
mhm.
yeah.
Yep, yep, that's it.
It was on Toonami, right? That's where I watched it.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yep. It came on, so they had Gundam Wing on there first. That's what really made Gundam explode over here. Then they picked up that one. Cartoon Network had like SD Gundam, which was like the robot, the mechs were actually the people or whatever. That one was kind of more kid friendly. The classic Mobile Suit Gundam is really good. I don't think you'll really go wrong with too many of the Gundam series. I heard mixed reviews of the latest one, which I can't remember what it is, and I feel like some people had mixed reviews on Iron Blood Orphans, but I kind of liked. I didn't watch all of it, but
Yeah.
but the first few episodes, I was really enjoying that one.
Yeah. ASAP said, "I love 3x3 Eyes and Legend of the Four Kings."
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Which
Three by
one?
three
3x3
eyes.
Eyes.
3 by 3 eyes. Yeah. That's a really good one. Shoot, what else was there? I mean, there's classics like Yu Yu Hakusho. You can always watch.
Oh, dude, I watched that
Um,
so much in high school. I love that show.
oh God.
Hiei was my
Uh,
guy, dude.
Tekken Man Blade. Did you ever watch that? I believe it came on USA or Sci-Fi Network.
I don't think so. I watched a lot of Yu Yu Hakusho, DBZ,
Hmm.
Rurouni Kenshin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think that's the majority. Like Naruto, but I'd watch it like on LimeWire because we didn't have it on Cartoon
Hmm.
Network then, so I'd like download it legally on Kazaa or whatever. Uh, yeah. Berserk. That was another high school anime.
Dude, Berserk is one of the greatest fantasy stories of all time. You got to read the manga because again, they've yet to capture it in like true to the story itself. Like
Yeah.
the absolute amount of detail. I mean, it's absolutely brutal. If you're under 18, do not read Berserk. It is brutal and rough and violent. But the dude was a genius storyteller. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago. Like so, the first three novels. I remember I was 16 when I think I was 16 when I first read it. I bought like the first three novels, and I was like, man, this dude is the biggest jerk. And then and it's like the dude knew it. He timed it perfectly. Just when you knew you were going to drop this manga because the main character just seems so heartless. Like there's one scene hits. I won't spoil it for people, but like it hits, and you're like, oh my god, he's not being a jerk to people. He's pushing them away because he doesn't want them to be hurt. Because if you don't know Berserk, the people that don't, he's got a brand on his neck that bleeds when demons and ghosts come nearby. So he's constantly, and it attracts it to him. So he's constantly under threat of demons and monsters. So he can barely ever sleep. He's always having a fight, and then this is not a gentle world for innocent people.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be very rough to survive in it.
Yeah, I did see the books when I got Goblin Slayer, but they were massive, and I was like, I'm not trying to spend a lot of money right now. I was just trying to like pick up a cheap little manga because the Goblin Slayer was like $13 for like the first issue. But yeah, I want to look into that. Honestly, dude, like between like Game of Thrones and Witcher and everything else I've read, like dark fantasy, whatever. The thing that made me almost like the book that I almost had to close, like this is too brutal, was a Western. It was.
Oh,
it was rough, dude.
Was it Blood Meridian?
It's called The Thicket by Joel
Oh,
Lansdale.
okay.
But that's really the only Western I've ever read. So I'm sure there's a whole bunch of Westerns out. It's just a brutal setting, so I'm sure it's not the only one.
Yeah. So don't. So then, if that was too much for you, then don't read Blood Meridian. That one's brutal. It's a kind of a deconstruction of the westerns. Berserk is like you name it, it's done it. All the worst things you can imagine, it's happened in the manga. But again, it's still an incredible story. So you switch to a relatively more lighter story. Have you read or watched Hellsing?
Hellsing. That's like the vampire one, like with the dude in the red
Yes.
jacket. Like a long time ago.
Yep.
I didn't watch the whole thing, but I've watched a few episodes of it.
So there was a manga or anime based off the manga that came out years ago, but it kind of went and spun off and did its own thing. Then years later, they released a more accurate anime depiction of it, OVAs, Hellsing Ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
Highly recommend you watch that one if you're going to watch or go back and rewatch either one of them. But I really love the manga as well. I love his art style. I love how he manipulates the black because again, manga's mostly black and white. How he plays with the black and like negative space. How stylized his characters are. I really enjoy all of that.
Yeah.
And again, it kind of has a bit of the sci-fi fantasy because they have to use special weapons, but then there's also the vampire supernatural powers, things like that within the story.
Yeah, dude. I really I like so right now I'm on my trench warfare mech phase right now, but normally I gravitate a lot towards like dark fantasy or like supernatural, so like monster hunters. So yeah, like Hellsing, Vampire Hunter D was one of my favorite ones. I loved that movie when I was in high school.
Oh my god! So they do have. So those were based off books.
Mm-hmm.
So you can buy the novels if you didn't know.
So they're not manga,
and they're on Audible. I'm sure they've adapted them on, but they so I think they're audio dramas. I think they're audio dramas on Audible. So they have a cast on there. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they started off as novels, and then it became obviously the manga and the animes, and then obviously the masterpiece that was Bloodlust came out. God, that to this day is one of the most brilliant pieces of animation ever. I love that movie.
Yeah.
So for other kind of dark fantasy, I am currently reading a manga called Killer Shark in Another World. I mentioned it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about this girl. She's a summoner, and she goes to summon her familiar. And while everybody else is summoning like these beautiful mermaids and elves and wood creatures and stuff, she summons this dinky little shark that's barely the size of a fish, and everybody's making fun of her. And then the shark disappears. The little baby shark disappears, and then a 20-foot shark shows up, jumping out of the concrete and the asphalt or whatever, and starts biting off their heads and ripping everybody apart. So she's summoned a magic shark with the power of every B movie shark ever. Sharktopus, Sharknado, Atomic Shark.
Street sharks.
It can, yes, three-headed shark, five-headed shark. It can shift to all these different forms, and so now she's a wanted terrorist for destroying this magic academy. Even though she's trying to save the day, but unfortunately, she's got this massive shark that barely tolerates her, much less anybody that's a civilian. Um, and she's trying to do the right thing, but this massive weapon she's got couldn't care less, and it's bloody and brutal, and it is hilarious.
Yeah, that's like Japan just rocks, dude. I love Japan so much. Everything they
Mhm.
put out is just it's funny, it's badass. I love it.
Yes, yes.
Well,
I love their their storytelling style, I should say.
yeah, and I love their food. It was like my
Yep,
favorite
yep.
place to go on detachment in the Navy was to Japan. Good times. Yeah. Did you ever go? Have you ever been to Japan?
I haven't been to Japan yet. That is on my to-do list. Who knows? Maybe one day with one of these books, I'll go on a worldwide tour.
That'd be sweet, man.
So when I was in the military, I got stationed. I was like, okay, I'll get to see the world somewhere. I don't care where I go. I don't care if I go to the Middle East or wherever. In fact, when I first when I was at NEPS, and they're like, okay, well, this is your base where you're going to go to basic training. It was like Fort Leavenworth. And I said, okay, cool. I've never been over there before. And then I started looking. They're like, nope, we changed it. You're going to Fort Benning, Georgia. And I was like, well, I'm from Florida, so I've been to Georgia. That's not fun, but that's okay. Whatever. So I went through basic, and they're like, okay, here's where you're going to AIT. I'm like, Fort Gordon, where's that at? They're like, in Georgia, about an hour away. I said, okay.
Oh
I was
no.
like, well, so yeah. And so then I get my orders after AIT, and I'm like, okay, where am I going in the world? Because they were giving out they were giving out Japan, Okinawa, they were giving out Korea, even like places like California or whatever. I didn't care, Alaska. And I looked at my orders and they're like Fort Detrick, Maryland. I said, well, I've been to Maryland too. So that's, and then I had a buddy there. He's like, I don't want to go to Okinawa. I said, I'll trade you. And the sergeant was like, yeah, I can totally get your order switched. No problem. We get to the sergeant's door and my buddy goes, you know what? I think I'm going to give Okinawa a try. I said, I could throttle you right now.
Yeah,
So
Okinawa's
I
rad,
was a
man.
one and done. After Dietrich, I was like, I'm just getting out of the military.
Yeah.
Eh. And then I
Yeah.
actually started seeing the world as a contractor.
Yeah. That's brutal, man. I kind of had like the brochure set up. Like I got
Hmm.
in, so I'm from Portland, and then I boot camps in Chicago for the Navy, Great Lakes, and then I was air crew, so then I went down to Florida, Pensacola, Florida, and then like
Hmm.
some of the machines were down in the pool because I was air crew, so we had to do like water testing and stuff, survival training. So the pool was like the machines in there were broken because they had like fake helicopters they strap us into and dunk it and flip it when we got to escape. That was broken, so we couldn't
Oh,
go through
cool.
training, so we're just on backlog in Pensacola, Florida. I'm just chilling, like working out, and then go to the beach on the weekends. Like this is rad, dude. So I was there for like 8 months, chilling in Pensacola, and then I got my orders to San Diego, California for 5 years. And then my job, I was air crew, so I flew all over the place. So like every couple months, I would go
Oh man.
I would go to like either Italy, Sigonella, or Japan, Atsugi, Japan, or Bahrain, and then from there you fly missions
Mhm.
in that theater. So I had a great gig.
Yeah, I probably should have went Navy or Air Force. The Air Force guys looked at me, one look at me, and again, I had a very thick Southern accent at that point. It's gotten lesser now, but still prevalent. And I am from the swamp areas of Florida, not the beaches, the swamp. So I roll in, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't want you." I said, "I haven't even taken any tests." Even when I went to the army side, they were like, "Oh, you sure you need to be here? Don't you need to be on like a leash or something? You look like an animal." And then I took the ASVAB and I like almost maxed up. Like, oh, okay, so you know how to write your name at least? I said, well, "Yeah, mostly."
All right.
So yeah,
What was your MOS?
25 Papa. So I was a microwave systems operator maintainer, and no, that's not popping popcorn. That's dealing with encryption and all kinds of boring stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
No cool helicopters for us.
Yeah. Well, man, I think it's been about an hour, and my wife is probably pulling her hair out trying to get the kids to bed, so I might have to let you go.
Go hit them with those animal tranquilizers. It takes
that's
them down every time.
that's right, man. But I definitely appreciate you coming on the stream, and I had a good chat. Thanks for telling me all about all the manga. Give me your
Dude, it's
tips.
absolute blast. Hit me up anytime you want to chat with more. I can always talk about more. Plenty more.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna just have a whole Friday night where we just talk about anime.
Maybe we should do that. That might be fun.
Yeah, I think I got an opening. I have to look, but I think it's like April. I'll let you know. Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Well, it was good talking to you.
Good talking to you, man. It's yeah, this has been an absolute blast. Thank you for all the questions and comments, everybody. You're all beautiful, especially you, Hades. If you're still awake, I know you sleepy time there for you. Everybody else, grab a copy or 15 of this, please. I need the I need the hair implants. Look at me.
We could trade. I'll give you my hair, and I'll take your beard.
Oh yeah, yeah. We can get halvesies on it. You get half my beard, I get half the hair.
Yeah.
That works.
So I can never shave it. So or you couldn't cut it. So if anything happens to it, we're both effed.
It's like a time show. Yeah, perfect. Can't do nothing to it.
All right, man. We have a good night.
You too, man. Talk to y'all later.
Yeah. See
Bye.
ya. Bye.